while Kevin tries to finagle this monstrous stock muffler back onto this car, we are in my garage today, and this unit sitting right here is what some of you might remember as back to the 90s. So
hold your mouth right.
It's no longer. Did you get it in?
Oh, yeah.
So this car was back to the 90s. It's no longer back to the 90s, and we've been talking the last couple episodes that we had something pretty cool we were working on, and this is it. So we just left Kevin's garage, did a little work on his Pro Stock car, and come back down to my garage because we've decided that with the interest that everybody's showing in racing the stock class with these machines, especially out at Joe's, that we're going to convert back to the 90s into a hybrid trail machine, but also a competitive stock class machine. So, got a couple things on the agenda for today to get started. We already got the springs, shocks and springs off my Pro Stock car. Our shocks are down in North Carolina getting some TLC from Scott Hewitt, and we're going to convert this thing into a stock class machine. So we got my springs off my other car on this car. All the body stuff's taken off. Zach Fry did a little bit of cage work for us. We didn't really have time, so he bent these A-posts out for me, and then we tacked some cross members in and stuff. So she's got a new cage on her, but today Kevin came down because we're going to be concentrating today on the interior, changing the interior around. So we still got the stock seats in it and whole stock steering setup and everything like that. Today, the big thing is push button shifters. So got some goodies over here on the bench. And if you remember from early episodes from Kevin's car, he's got push button shifters wired in his car, and he did away with the paddle. So we got some PCI push to talk buttons here that are going to take the place now of the shift up and shift down in this car, because the main problem is with the paddles located the way they are right now, when you turn the wheel and your hands are off of 3 and 9, and up here there's no paddles.
No, and especially without a 2-to-1 quickener in these, you're sawing on the wheel, and sometimes you're, making a big swing with one hand, then you got to take your hand off and reach over and grab a shifter and hope you're going, up or down the right direction. But it's just a royal pain when you're trying to wheel one of these things, especially stock.
Right.
And you don't have.
So I raced this thing, I hot lapped it out at Joe's Speedway, and I did not like the paddle shift for racing whatsoever. So along with the push to talk buttons, we ordered 2 PCI Race Radio push to talk buttons that are going to be the shifters. We got a Longacre 15-inch steering wheel and the Hess quick disconnect steering coupler that we are going to drill to fit this 3-bolt pattern race wheel. So we'll have a quick disconnect wheel. Also, this is going to extend us out past where the paddles will be comfortable to use anyways.
Right.
So another reason for the buttons. So the car is sitting here pretty much taken all apart. There's no plastic or anything on it. We're going to take the front plastic off. We're going to take the plastic off around all the gauges so you guys can see what we're going to do here. And Kevin's an expert in wiring, and I am not at all. So he is going to dive in here, and we're going to basically just cut the stock plug off the paddle and then wire the stock plug onto the push to talk button.
Right.
And then the push to talk button actually velcros to the steering wheel. Not this steering wheel won't be on here, but it's basically going to velcro right here, and when you turn the wheel, these shifters will follow. So Hess already offers a setup like this. It's a real nice setup. It's basically bolt on, plug and play. But as Kevin always says, we ain't going to pony up for that kind of money.
That's right.
So,
and I'd like to think, in a way, they got that idea from us, but there's no way of telling, and we don't have a patent on it. So,
right.
And I'm big into DIY, but this is my spare setup for mine if my buttons take a crap or something breaks. So I took my stock shift paddles and made a bracket here, tigged it all up, drilled it out to fit different wheels, and then this will go, basically you unbolt your race wheel and then stick this over top the hub, put your wheel back on it, bolt it back up, plug your Deutsch connectors in or whatever style connector you end up using, and then you got your paddles that are now
following
up tight to your, not tight to the wheel, but up to the wheel, and when you turn the wheel, they're there.
Right, so if you have a steering quickener and the steering wheel comes out farther like it did in my car, in my other car, it brought the steering wheel back so close. Kevin made this bracket all up so that if something happens to his push buttons, he can put this bracket in, and then he can go back to his paddles, and the paddles will follow the wheel whenever you turn it. That's also a very cool setup right there. Before we worry about anything else on this car, we want to take care of the interior, because I'm real big on, if you're going to race it, you have to be comfortable.
Yep.
And right now these cars aren't very comfortable. We're going to put a Kirky aluminum race seat in it, but we're going to drive this thing today after we get the push buttons in there. So I just put the stock seats back in it. I got an aluminum seat bracket that we made that's going to go in this car, and then we're going to take care of basically the steering and shifting right now. Get the bigger steering wheel on it, get it closer to us, because we're both going to race this car, and then put the push button shifters in. So we're going to tear some plastic off of this thing and dive in.
Do you have any push lights?
Bud.
But hey, even better.
Here we go.
Let's do it. I was like, oh, this is it right here. If it don't hook, we're going over. It's gonna be bigger than shit.
So all the front plastics off of it. I'm a little ashamed of how dirty it is. My cars are never this dirty, but
Mine are.
Kevin's got the bolt loose here on the stock wheel. What we did on my car, these sometimes, I've heard some stories about these being super hard to get off, but on my car, whenever me and Kevin did it, we left the nut stick out like that. I sat in the seat, pulled back with the hammer. Kevin pulled back on it, and then Kevin tapped on the nut with the hammer, and we popped it right off. So we'll see if that works this particular time. You looking for a hammer?
Yeah, some sort of linear hitting device.
Well, there you go. Wheel popped right off. Super easy, just like the last one. 2 whacks with the hammer, it slid right off. So here's what we got. So you got your brackets here. These are the brackets in the episode. Remember, Kevin used these brackets to come out with 2 straps and make a stiffener for his wheel back here, but we're going to do away with them completely on this car because we're not going to need them. What do you want to do first? You want to wire up the push button and then worry about the quick disconnect later?
Yeah, we can do that because it's all like right here, and that way we're not on top of each other. We can just go ahead and wire that in. How much of a whip do you want on those? How long are they?
They are long AF.
Let's see one of them units.
Pull one of them things out of there.
You don't want them flopping around and hitting you in the leg. Yeah, we'll just take and probably do it right here.
Yeah.
And you can wrap it around the wheel.
Right. Yeah, so PCI, their push-to-talk buttons come with this nice little cable on them. They're way longer than what they need to be, so it gives you plenty of room. So we're going to cut them short. We'll just leave all this here and cut it off. We'll cut it off right back there.
I'm going to clip it about here, so if we ever do go back, you can just butt connect it back in.
Okay. So Kevin's got a hold of the wire right here that runs to the stock paddle. We're going to cut it right there. We're going to cut the push-to-talk button right here. Basically, just put some do a real quick wire job on there, and basically these things would be disconnectable if need be.
Yeah. I mean, you can still unhook them at the stock harness down here.
Yeah.
Pull them off if you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it down in here, but bam, right there. That is the plug. So that's the goal. We're going to go just behind that plug there and cut that off, so we can still unplug these if we wanted to. So
Along. So these push-to-talks have 3 wires in them. Some of them have 4. Yeah, this is a three-pronger. So we're really only going to use 2. We'll leave the other one in there for a spare in case we yank one. Because like on my car, I used old cut push-to-talks, and they've got 4 in them. So I just doubled down on both of them. So, but if I have a problem, then I got to strip and solder and do all kinds of shit to get mine back to where it needs to be. So, and then here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the zip tie and pull this off once I cut it. I'm going to cut this in the middle. You see how small those are. There's one. That's your shift down. There's no going back.
it's over now.
It's over now. Get this same here. Roughly wasn't gonna save that, but all right. So now it doesn't really matter. Where
Yeah,
those
those
go.
plugs are the same.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about them. And if you try to find these plugs, good
Good
luck.
luck.
We tried to make it to where we could just use, stock stuff, but we couldn't make it happen.
We're going to get off of there. The Hess, and well, not just Hess, all the manufacturers of the aftermarket steering wheel deal are 6-bolt, and I have been racing for 13 years now with the Longacre 15-inch wheel, so that's what I'm comfortable running. But as you can see, they're 3-bolt. These are 6-bolt. So all we're going to do is center this up the best we can. We'll mark these holes. I'll push it through. I'll push a drill bit through, and then we'll bolt this in on the back side. I've already done this on my Pro Stock car, and it works out perfectly fine. So I'll mark these out while Kevin's stripping wires over there.
Stripper.
And we get ready to solder them back together.
It's gonna be fun soldering these itty bitty wires together.
Right.
Just fusing shit together here, boys.
There's some tedious work going on here. It's pretty quiet.
Fucking small wires.
It's a high tension situation.
It's like you're diffusing the bomb, but we're putting a bomb together.
Yeah, my apologies for the 045 soldering wire.
Yeah, could we find some thicker? All that smoke rolling off this thing is some from the acid core stuff, but the push to talk, I didn't realize it with this brand. They run a fiber around the metal strands that are in there, and it's just melting off as it gets hot, but it'll be all right. I think we're good there.
Good? Both of them?
Yep.
Dang it, man. Good deal. Okay, so now all we got left to do is put the heat shrink up on there, shrink them up, plug them in. I'm going to drill the holes. I got the holes laid out for the, I used the Hess cap, set it on there where I wanted it, centered it. It's got to be clocked a certain way so that the holes have clearance. I got that marked out.
Clearance.
Clearance. And I'm going to drill the holes in the wheel. We will set the part that is actually driven onto the steering shaft, and it only goes on, it's got 3 holes on one side, at least the Hess one does, 3 holes on one side, 5 holes on the other side, so we'll have to pick, roughly where we want this thing to set at, so that the wheel's somewhat straight, which is going to be important now because the buttons are going to be up here on each side, so that's going to be important how we have that steering wheel clocked. And we're going to plug it in, we're going to throw some wheels on it, we got to button up the stock muffler, and take this thing out and see if this shifter mod works.
Alright, we're back.
So Kevin finished up the wiring and heat shrink and everything on the buttons. I got the steering wheel quick disconnect bolted up to this Longacre wheel. We got this set on there. We got our wheel. And well, that's not latched on there. There's one on there. So the steering wheel's on there. Now all we have to do, which one is up and down? This one's on this side. So like I was saying earlier, for right now these are going to be pretty slick because these buttons. Until we get to know exactly where my thumbs are comfortable shifting this thing, we'll get a more permanent mount, maybe run them through these
Through the spokes.
grooves. Yeah, through the spokes. But for now, we'll wrap them around the steering wheel. But basically, what we're going to be looking at
2 nitrous buttons on the steering wheel.
is right there. There's your shift up and shift down. There's plenty of room in there to take the steering wheel off. And we didn't mention anything about price earlier in the beginning of this video. So PCI race radio push to talk buttons, about $100 for the 2 of them. They're like 49 bucks a piece. So we have that. The Hess quick disconnect coupler is 90 bucks. So this whole setup right here, you're talking about 200 bucks to have your push to talk buttons for the shifters, the steering wheel quick disconnect, and all that, so not too bad.
Right. For comfortability, pretty straightforward, easy for $200.
And like you said, we're gonna leave it all like this. We're gonna drive it here in a second, make sure it works. We're gonna slam some wheels and tires on it. We just put the muffler back on. When we get ready to race this thing, this will be tucked up in all the dash, so you won't be having all this.
Right.
We might wrap this around the wheel a couple times, or maybe we'll take this and make a loop right there and zip tie it to the wheel or whatever. We'll clean this all up, but for right now, we're just gonna leave it all hanging down loose here to make sure that it's all gonna work. And that'll be the end of this. Straightforward. How long did that take us, man? An hour?
If that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have like an hour in this whole setup, so super easy, and it's gonna be pretty nice. I drove Kevin's car, and it is so much nicer without the paddles. So much nicer. So let's get this thing on wheels.
Let's do it.
Try it out. Well, we took her out, got her back down on wheels and tires, and took her out for a little cruise, and it won't shift. So we have got some form of issue here. It's upon further inspection.
It's green and yellow wire on these.
It's green and yellow.
Kills a fellow. Or helps a fellow shift.
Yeah. So he just took the switch part up here, found out it was green and yellow. We're going to switch it over real quick. Temporarily, make sure that it works. And then Kevin's going to take these with him and do a expert professional wiring job on them.
Yeah. I really can't wait till we get to go run some damn fair races this year.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. I'm more excited about racing fairs than I am anything else, actually. I don't know why it is. It's just something different about racing at a fair. It always brings out a lot of people. Always brings out a lot of locals. I'm excited about it, too. Anyways, Kevin's going to flip those wires around there real quick, and we're going to take her back out for a spin and shift some gears in this thing. Maybe launch it. Not.
Alright. Try this again.
Go down this way.
Speakers. We won't launch it, but your launch control still works the same for the sport shifts. Put on the brake, hold them both in. The clutch indicator comes on the dash. But you got to be higher in your RPM to let it launch. But once it quits blinking, you're good. Get with some shitties in the old school. Never get this time capsule out yet?
Until like 2076.
Oh,
Don't go down in there.
Alright, you run it, see what you think. I'll take them to work and I'll finalize it. Make it nice.
I think with the buttons being so big, with the push to talk buttons being so big, I think it's going to be really easy to find them.
Right.
You're looking forward and you're racing, because the whole time I'm doing this, they're like resting against my thumb, so they're going to be super easy to find.
Right.
It's going to work out really good.
Which might be even better than what my momentary switches are. They're shallow. Oh.
I am 100% happy with the way that turned out. It worked exactly like we thought it was going to work. I love the 15-inch steering wheel. The push buttons are super comfortable and I can find them really easy with my thumbs. So everything worked perfect. I can't wait to turn some laps in this thing.
Yeah, me either. It's going to be nice. I might even think about going to the push-to-talks like that for mine, but
One thing I really like about the push-to-talks is you have the option to adjust. So we'll try and find a more permanent way to mount these after. Maybe they'll be fine. But I can slide these in and out and really tighten them things down, and maybe throw a tie around them or something when I really
zip
find
tie it in.
that sweet spot where I like them. But yeah, it's gonna work out really good.
and the wires are small enough that you can tuck them into all your plastic trim and stuff that goes around your gauge cluster and hide them.
Right.
So
So we got a new JD squared tubing bender. We already got the bender. We got, due to COVID, they were back ordered and all that stuff. So we got the die coming. It'll be here this week. So we're gonna fit the bar that we cut out of Kevin's last episode. We're gonna get his cage all squared away. Joe's Speedway first practice, April 3rd, so that's only a couple weeks away, not very far away. So this car will be there. We're going to try some tire grooving combos that we did on the Ceros. In this car, we're going to pound some hard laps in this thing with those shifters in there. Our Pro Stock cars probably won't be there. There's not a whole lot of testing that we need to do on our Pro Stock cars, but we will be back out there in this car.
plus we're waiting
running
on
some hard laps.
shocks and stuff.
Yeah, we're
so.
waiting on our shocks and stuff to come back. But we got a lot of testing to do on this car here. So when we come back, like I said, we'll be bending and fitting Kevin's roll bar tube and getting his car squared away. My Pro Stock car is almost done, and then we'll be back to brush up the interior on this. We still need to put our helmet blower and stuff in there and all that stuff like that. But
Right.
as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time.
Until next time.